welcome to the new The Knitted Cupcake podcast. My name is Lacey, and I am a knitter of 10 years. I've been doing this thing, and this is my first time ever talking about it on camera and sharing my love for knitting with the world. I'm 29. I am from Wenatchee, Washington. I'm saying a lot already. Forgive me, I'm trying to do this all in one go. I don't think my editing skills are quite up to par. So yeah, anyway, you can find me on Ravelry as WOU Knitter. Woo, that's my alma mater. And then on Instagram, you can find me as the.knitted.cupcake, and I'll have all of that somewhere down here. So episode 1, here we go. I have been obsessively watching podcasts for the past month, and I started to watch a few at the beginning of the summer, a little bit during, and then for whatever reason, end of August, I just decided I'm gonna be a podcast watcher, and I got in and started watching KT from Inside 23. And it was actually her most recent episode that kind of got me doing this. And for the last few weeks, I've been thinking about starting a podcast. And then I just, no one's going to listen to me. No one's going to think that I have anything worth adding to this podcast world. And someone in her Ask Her Anything thread on her Ravelry group page was asking her about starting a podcast and any tips and tricks and pointers and that kind of a thing. And her advice to this person was, just do it. And so that really struck a chord with me today. And I said, you know what? I'm going to record my first podcast today. So here we are in my lovely living room. KT was a big influence on this. So thank you. I've also been obsessively watching The Grocery Girls. And if you've not seen them yet, have stumbled across me, that's not okay. And you need to go watch them right now. So go away from me. Go watch some of their episodes. Jody and Tracy are hilarious. They are two sisters from Edmonton, Canada, and they just crack me up. I find their knitting and yarn stash to be just inspiring. And Jody is actually Mrs. Brown's bags, and I just won their most recent giveaway on Instagram. I was completely blown away. I just thought, you know what, I'll enter, I'll like the picture and pick 3 friends and, tag them in my comment, and we'll see what happens. I doubt I'm going to win because I don't win anything, and I won! So I get one of Jody's bags coming my way soon. Who knows when that's going to be, but I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to it. The bag that I selected, oh my gosh. If you haven't seen her bag, she creates these amazing, this amazing fabric from knitted swatches that she creates and then photographs and sends them in. And the knitted garter swatch that I selected is from the Lemonade Shop on Etsy. And her yarn is stunning. And Hippo Disco is on my must knit with list. I want it. I need it. I have to have it. Hippo Disco. Check it out. Beautiful. Okay, so Grocery Girls, Jody and Tracy, sisters, hilarious. Love them. Speaking of sisters, the Hey Sister podcast is another one. Sisters Tabby and Rachel. Neither one of them has been knitting for very long, and they are producing some gorgeous pieces. And again, just the dynamic between the two of them is just funny. It makes me wish I had a little compadre partner in crime, but you get you get Archimedes. He's my buddy. He's missing his little beak. I just never put a beak on him, so he's beakless, but he's my favorite little owl. He's the great white owl or great snowy owl from Pearl Soho. So yeah, this is Archimedes. He's my buddy. I love all things owls, as well as the cupcakes, hence the knitted cupcake. But yeah, those two make me wish that I had a sister that I could do this with. But I don't. I have two brothers, so I'm the lone knitter in the family. So check out their podcast. And then the last one that I want to talk about is Stacy from Stressed Knits. And she, I feel like, is kind of a kindred spirit to me a little bit. She started knitting in college, as did I, and used it to totally de-stress from class and papers and tests and all this, and I can totally relate. I started knitting 10 years ago when my sister-in-law was pregnant with my niece, and I made my first ever project was this cute little teeny tiny baby hat, and from there I went, I want to make socks, and I jumped into socks, and I made some pairs, and I loved them, and wore them until they all had holes in them, and then I made a lot of what Tracy and Jody from Grocery Girls call hose. I've got like 5 or 6 single socks that just kind of had me stop knitting knitting socks because I didn't want all these half-finished objects. And so I thought, you know what, if I can't finish the second sock, then maybe socks aren't for me. But Stacy, back to that, has been cranking out socks like crazy. She is well over her 12 pairs of socks for the box of socks and long. That is happening with, you think I remember this, but I don't. I'll try to link it down below. And she is starting to dye and sell her own hand-dyed yarns, which I admire and would love to do one day. So yeah, those are kind of my inspirations for this. And if you haven't seen any of them, which I'm sure you have, because you're watching me and I'm just this little newbie, but if you haven't, go check them out because they're pretty awesome podcasts and they're great knitters and they're entertaining people. So yeah. So I feel like I have to talk about what I'm drinking. It is the Tazo, I don't know if you're going to be able to, yeah, Vanilla Rooibos tea. My favorites. I was so sad when Starbucks stopped carrying it because I loved the Vanilla Rooibos latte. I don't remember what it's called anymore since they stopped carrying it, but it was my favorite if I didn't want anything caffeinated but something warm still. But yeah, and I'm drinking out of my Canada We Are Here collection mug. I don't know if we're going to do it. Yay! So repping my neighbors and friends from the north. I've got a lovely little collection of these in my kitchen. So yeah, okay, so that was a little bit about me, a little bit about my inspiration. So let's jump into finished objects. This one I'm pulling from the archive. This is one that I started last fall and did not finish until this summer. I am a big football fan. I am from Washington. The Seahawks are my team. The Seahawks have been my team since I was, a glimmer in my parents' eyes. I grew up with them. No bandwagon fan here. I loved them through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so last year when Michelle Hunter came out with her Scoreboard Cowl, I said, Seahawks scarf, absolutely, let's do it. Well, my team scores a lot, which is great. I love them. But it also makes for an extremely large cowl. I mean, I am 5'9". There's one end of my wingspan. Here's the other end. I mean, this thing is massive. It's huge, but I love it. The blue, this is made out of Haiku Simply Worsted. And the navy in here, it's showing up a little brighter, but the navy is, there we go, Raffi, the color Raffi, and the green is lime green. And the gray, silver? Maybe it's just gray. Wolf something maybe? I don't know, but it's gray. And so if you were not a part of that knit along, let's see if I can find the beginning here. So this is from gray to gray, the first game of the season. And for every row, it delineated 1 point scored. And the blue stripes are the Seahawks, and the green stripes represent the team that they were playing. And so yeah, it just created this totally massive cowl that it was 80 degrees here today in Wenatchee, so much too warm to wear it to the game or to go watch the game, but it is massive. So look at, I mean, I can just keep wrapping and wrapping. It's huge. It's so huge, but it's going to be so great in the winter when it's so cold. And it's a way that I can represent not only my team, but show off my knitting and in something fun to wear. So this is a Scoreboard Cowl. Also, there are 7 skeins of navy and 6 skeins of the lime green in this scarf. Massive, 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 massive. Okay, that's done. My next finished object is more recent. I finished it this last week as a test knit, and I'm apologizing now because I am going to butcher her name. But it's, I've recorded this once already. And then my computer ran out of memory, and so it stopped before I was done. And I don't know how to edit yet, so... And then I had to go to the football game and watch a football game with my knitting gals. And so I just kind of came home and wanted to catch the natural light. Sorry, I'm pulling up Galura, her business name, her design name. While They Play is her design name on Ravelry. So While They Play knits, and she called out for some test knitters a few weeks ago for this beautiful shawl that she has named Autumn Dreams, and it just went live this last Wednesday. And this was my test knit for her. It is I'd call this more of a shawlette. See if I can, I'm lifting that too high. Sorry, everything's reversed. So it's got this great cable design that runs down the body, and then a fun garter edge and 5 points. And this is knit out of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, not the superwash, just the plain 100% wool. And the body is silver. And then this garter edge, let's see, yeah. So the dark color is Currant, and the lighter kind of lavender color is Seraphim. And her pattern doesn't call for a striped garter edge. I just had the yarn and it was calling my name, and she is awesome and let me be a little creative and throw in some stripes. So there it is. So this is Autumn Dreams, and fun fact is that she is going to be calling out for test knitters here pretty soon for a matching hat that incorporates the same garter edge and the cable design. And I am so looking forward to, hopefully I get to test knit that as well, because this was just a dream to knit. Her pattern was written so beautifully. The cables were absolutely intuitive. I didn't have to, it's so easy to memorize. I knew what I was doing real quick into it. So hopefully I get the joy of knitting up the hat that matches as well. And that's about it. I'm debating. I'm wearing a pair of socks that I knit last year. These are my, there we go, my Rose City Rollers. And these are Cascade Heritage prints. And I believe the colorway in that one was Hawks. So those are my Seahawk socks, and those were knit last year. Great pattern, love Rose City Rollers. I will probably knit, I've knit 2 pairs, and I will likely knit many more because short socks are so fast. They knit up so fast, and that's such a great pattern. And she also has a new pattern out, I believe called Jelly Roll, that has like a double rolled edge. I know KT from Inside 23 is doing some Harley Quinn socks out of that pattern, and they're awesome. So I will probably try that pattern out as well, but who knows what yarn or whatever. But those are another FO that I so happen to have handy. Okay, on to whips. After writing up my notes, I kind of realized this is the episode that is a lot of Michelle Hunter, who is great, who is awesome, and I love her patterns. They're super easy to follow. So Scoreboard Cowl that I did last year was a Michelle Hunter pattern. And then these are, I should go get my sock blockers really fast. No, I'm good. They're like back there. Anyway, these are her cranked pattern. Let's see if I can get a good picture of that. Yeah. So it's got this really cool zigzag that runs up the sock, and they're done toe up. And then once you get to the top, they run all the way around. And I love the pattern. I think they are producing a really fun sock, and because it's kind of a rib, it hugs my foot really nicely. They're just taking forever, and I am so, I just want them to be done. I have other socks that I want to cast on my needles, and I'm only have one set of sock needles to keep me from going too crazy. I might be buying one more here in the next week or so. But yeah, so these are really fun. I'm going to love them when they're done and off the needles. They're just, I'm kind of over it. So I just have to keep chugging away, plugging away. They're part of my 30 before 30 goals that I set for myself last June. I turned 30 next June, so I'm 29. And one of my goals was to knit a pair of socks a month. And these are my September socks, which, as we all know, September is rapidly coming to an end. So I need to get these done and off the needles so I can cast on for my October socks, which I will talk about later in my pre-process section. But this yarn I picked up at a little yarn shop in Brandon, Manitoba, Canada this summer while I was up there. And I believe this is a Canadian yarn, Canadian brand. It is Diamond Luxury in their Tiptoe base. There we go. And superwash wool, 25% nylon. And the color is 314. But it's a very dark, jewelly, very reminiscent of autumny kind of rainbow. It's like a jeweled rainbow. It's not super vibrant, but it's not pastel. It's not muted. It's very rich and jewel toned, which I absolutely love. And it's a single ply, and I'd never knit a pair of socks out of a single ply before. So here they are. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. Some good stretch film. They also have the Fish Lips Kiss heel on them. And if I were to go back and do them again, because this is a gradient, I would have done a second color in the heel just so I wouldn't have this weird jump in the gradient along the front, but I think that I'll be able to live with it. They were a road trip sock, and I didn't have extra yarn to do a contrasting heel, so I stuck with what I had, and it's what I had. So these will hopefully be off the needles by the end of this week. And these are being knit up on my Chigu US 1 needles. think I've got something that probably says their measurement in millimeters. I need to get better at that. 2.25, and that's kind of my go-to. I love a snug, tight knit on my socks. So every once in a while I'll even jump down to a size 0. But these are on a US 1, 2.25 millimeter. So there's that. Whip number 1. Now my next 2 whips are both giant and both deadline. Like I have to get them, I don't have to get them done, but I want to get them done by a certain point in time because they are gifts for people. So my first one is the, again, another Michelle Hunter pattern, the Building in Color blanket. And this is a gift for my niece. And she, back in the spring, and this is the same niece that got me into knitting with her birth. Back in the spring, I sent her pictures of these color cards and said, pick your 3 favorite colors that go together. And, let's see here. No, these are the colors she picked. That's a good rep, yeah. So the top color, this one, and these are all universal uptown worsted. And so this top color is called Pale Blue. This color right, nope. This one here is Periwinkle. And this one here they call Mint Green, but it is really a pretty tealy green. It's mint green, I always think of mint chocolate chip ice cream. So that really kind of light, pale, pastel-y green. I think of that as mint green. Anyway, so these are the 3 colors that she picked for her lovely blanket that she doesn't know she's getting, that she doesn't know it's going to be a blanket. She just picked these colors. These are the colors that I want. And I love how this is coming along. So if you have not seen the Building in Color blanket, it is done in 10 panels that are stacked on top of each other. So the panels run the width of the blanket, and then they're stacked on top of each other to create the length of the blanket. And every panel includes or incorporates a different color work technique, which color work has always been a little scary to me, but I'm all about broadening my horizons and my skills, and so I thought this was a really fun way to do that. So I am currently in my mess of yarn with 3 different skeins. This is panel number 10 of 10. So I am almost done, and this one, I did this last time, and you think I would have learned. I believe this is called the bubble stitch. Hold on, I'm pulling up my handy dandy phone in patterns to find this because I want to make sure that I'm accurate with my stitches and what they're being called. Note to self, better show notes next time. Oh my gosh, come on. No. There we go. So this one is, in fact, called the tuck stitch. I'm thinking of the Madeline Tosh bubble wrap cowl. It's the exact same stitch pattern. So I want to call it the bubble stitch, but in here it's called the tuck stitch. Love it. It's so much fun. It's flying off the needles. I'm probably 30 inches in, and it needs to be 50 inches long. I know this is going to be a massive blanket, but that's what you get when you knit it out of worsted rather than the DK that the pattern calls for. So that was the tuck stitch. This next one, I have all the other 9 here sitting waiting to be shown off because I'm so excited by it. This has been such a labor of love. So this is called the Elongated Stitch, and it's worked using some slip stitches and whatnot to create, I think you can tell. Yeah, there we go. So it's got kind of that mint green in the center and then an edge of periwinkle, and then it's surrounded by the pale blue. So this is the Elongated Stitch. Ooh. Bad color representation there. The Make One Pearl. I think it's also been called, there we go, the Star Stitch. So that's the Make One Pearl. This one is the butterfly stitch. This one flew off the needles. This was a really fun one to do. This one is the Mosaic. That's better. It looks really Kelly green, but it's not. It's hard when it's those two colors together. It's hard to get a good read on what color it is. Oh. Anyway, this is the Mosaic. This is the short row, which was probably one of my favorites to do. I finished this one in just a couple of nights. It was real quick. This one was probably my most frustrating because I feel like it did not leave a neat, clean edge. So it's going to be a bit of a pain to sew up with the other ones. But this one is the double-ended knitting. So it creates one row stockinette stripes without cutting or breaking your yarn. So it was a really fun technique. I really enjoyed the technique of it, but the edging, I think, is to be posted on that one. This was the Intarsia, and this one's not quite done. It's going to have some embroidery work in these, nope, other hand. Everything's mirrored, so it's really weird. It's mirrored and then flipped, so it's showing up the right way. So I'm moving the wrong hands. But in these sections of the wave are going to have a embroidery stitch that's going to bring in that mint green into this panel as well. But this is the Intarsia. Look at how good that looks, right? Right? I love Intarsia. It's so much fun. This one is the Knit Below. Knit One Below. Hold on, let me look at my silly little pattern here. Knit Below, yeah. So this is the Knit Below, and it created such a squishy, yummy fabric. I love it. So squishy, so soft. This yarn, if you've never worked with Uptown Worsted, it is one of the softest, if not the softest, acrylic yarn I've ever worked with. And considering this is for a 10-year-old girl, I wanted it to be super easy to care for. I didn't want it to be complicated for my brother and sister-in-law to wash. I didn't want them to be afraid of ruining it if it went through the washer and the dryer. So acrylic yarn, this is supposed to be anti-pill, so we'll see how that goes. That will get put to the test. Now this last one is probably one of my favorites, and this is the cabled Intarsia. Yeah. And then it's Intarsia, so there's my backside. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. So there are my 10 panels for this blanket. I have exactly 1 month to finish panel 10, to sew all of the panels together, block them. I know acrylic doesn't really block, but I need them to kind of be a little flatter. So finish 10, block them, sew them all together, and then do the border edging. And the border edge has a little little picot edge, and I just, I'm not sure if I'm sold on the picot edge, so it may just have a solid, not solid, but a garter border that incorporates all 3 of those colors. So yeah, that is whip number 2. Whip number 3 is another blanket on another deadline that my original deadline is just not going to work because that's in 2 weeks. There's no way I can get that done, especially since I have to work on my niece's blanket as well. This one is falling apart. A gift for my sweetheart. He is graduating from police academy in 2 weeks, and I wanted to make him something special. I totally believe in the boyfriend sweater curse, so I refuse to make him a sweater because I want to keep him. So I decided to make him a blanket. So this is the Optic Blanket from Pearl Soho, and I am done with the first long row, and I have started the second one, and I love it because they're all attached as you go. I don't have to sew anything together. And the yarn that I'm using for this is the Knit Picks Swish DK, and this is just, oh, I don't know if it's going to give me a good read on that color. You can kind of see the little bit of heather color in there, but it's this amazing dark forest green that has little flecks of brown and blue that run through it. The description on Knit Picks was dead on with it. And this is the Lost Lake heather. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe? Okay. And then the light color is a color that I know Stacy from Stress Knits loves, and she uses it often in her contrast and heel toes and cuffs. This is the Dove Heather, and I totally see why she loves it so much, because it is the perfect light shade of heather gray. And the two together, I absolutely love. It's coming across really blue, and it's not. It's very much green, and it's a beautiful forest green. So yeah, so the cool thing about this is that you knit your first square, and then you cast on and pick up stitches to attach your second and third and fourth, all the way up to the end. They're seven squares long, and then you just keep attaching each square as you go. So this is square number 8 of 42. So there's no way it's going to be done in 2 weeks. So this is now becoming a congratulations on your graduation / happy birthday, because his birthday's in November. So, but he knows my knitting. I've knit him a few hats, and he loves them. He's definitely knit worthy. So I don't mind putting in the time and the effort to make him something totally squishy and beautiful. And oh look, there's the backside. I love looking at the backside of work. I think that it is really interesting to see. So there's the backside of it. But I think that he is definitely worthy of something that puts in so much other effort, like a blanket, and one day a sweater, just not yet. So yeah, there is my last whip. I've got plenty of other things that are just kind of hanging out as UFOs right now, and I will get to them eventually, so you will get to see more of things that I love to make and do, but I need to get these blankets done. I don't know why I decided to do them, because I love my people, I guess. Anyway, so that is whips. I don't have any acquisitions. I am trying to go on a bit of a yarn diet. I bought a lot of yarn over the summer, and the only yarn I probably will be buying is going to be for socks, since I do have that goal of 1 pair of socks a month until my 30th birthday, and I don't have 12 skeins of sock yarn, so there will be sock yarn purchases, but probably not for a while, because as I'm going to show you in my next little segment of pre-process, I have some sock yarn that I want to, and I'm going to knit up into socks. It's just a matter of freeing up my needles and casting on the next pair. So, into some pre-process talk. I am, again, it's the Michelle Hunter episode, going to partake in her cable ship. I am going to mispronounce that one of these days, and it is not going to be good. Her cable ship socks knit along, and it is a sock that is going to be full of cables, I'm assuming, and made out of a zobber ball. So this is mine. That is all messily wound. I need to rewind it or something. Are you going to show me a good color up? This is my zobber ball in the color Oktoberfest. So how perfect for a pair of October socks to be done in Oktoberfest yarn. So fun. And I'm not a big red and orange fan, but fall and autumn is one of my all-time favorite seasons. And so I love all of the leafy, color changey action that's going on in here. So Solder Ball, Oktoberfest. I'm really excited to cast these on. So as soon as my cranked socks, my rainbow cranked socks are off my needles, it'll be time to cast these on, I'm sure, because that's a week away. So that's one of my next upcoming projects. Again, like I stated earlier, the Seahawks are my team. They're my guys. I love them to death. And I have the Cascade Heritage prints in the Hawks colorway on my feet. And yeah, I'm not flexible enough to get both my feet. This is a newer color that they came out, I believe is called Seattle. And again, the green is coming across real Kelly, but it's more limey than that. But yeah, it's gonna have these great white and navy and gray and lime and the little blue fleckies. They're gonna knit up into a fun pair of socks. I don't know, this is kind of what my little knitting group is going to do as kind of their Seahawk knit along. We all did the cowl last year, and that was so much work. We did not want to do it again. So I found this yarn, and we all decided this is what we're going to do. So I think that I might do socks on a plain or a pair of BFF socks with a cable. I think I want to do something with a cable. Then I'm doing the cable. I don't know. Socks on a plain was my first go-to thought. We'll see what these turn into and become. But yeah, Cascade Heritage prints in the Seattle. I believe it's called Seattle colorway. And it is a 75-25 superwash nylon. Now, my last pre-process sock is a local yarn shop, the K1P2 in Wenatchee. The owner has totally recently got into dyeing, and she dyed up some sock yarn in not my college, but the college that I grew up supporting and rooting for, in their colors, which is really exciting because I don't feel like it's easy to find accurate colors for them. And this is a little old school in the colors, but I thought it was still fun. And that would be UW Huskies, go Dogs. But what? My little brother's a junior at UW right now, so we have a legit connection to UW. But anyway, so this is her Go Dogs colorway, and I love the purple and the yellow. And how she dyed this, she literally had her skein of yarn, and half of it is she dyed yellow, and half of it she dyed purple. There's not little like section and blobs. It's just literally half and half. So I'm really super curious to see how this knits up. And it's really quite soft. And it's a mix of yarn that I have not put on my feet yet. And it is 30% merino wool, 20% silk, and 50% alpaca. So there's no nylon, but I've heard that silk is a strong fiber, and so that should add to the strength of the sock. And it says it's machine washable. I may have to double check with her on that one, but yeah, so these are my Go Dog socks. So I'm all about, and it's a bit of a richer, darker purple. That's a little grapier than it is, but it's fun. I don't think I can make it focus on this and not my face. So yeah, that is my last sock pre-process. Now my other one, I have been wanting to make this pattern for a very long time, and I've been trying to find the right yarn, the right feel, softness, colors, etc., 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 and I found this yarn at, I believe it was Acorn Yarns in Seattle. And you can find this yarn at a lot of other places, but this is just where I found it. And that sun is right behind me. Am I? Nope. Better? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out the best spot for lighting. The sun is starting to come down, so you can kind of, again, I'm pointing the wrong way. You can see it, the sun shining through my windows behind me, and I think that is kind of affecting the color. Okay. I don't know. Anyway, so this is the Isager, I don't know how to pronounce it, Alpaca Merino. Oh. There we go. And these are the colors that I picked. And this one's coming out really dark, but it is an awesome kind of wine, mulberry, that awesome kind of, it's more red than it is purple that's showing up. But yeah, that perfect fall color. I see that and I think, oh, fall, it's so good. And this is just a medium heather gray. And now this one is what I would call, see, mint green. And the color is just not coming through. I need to figure out a different camera setup or something. But yeah, so these are the colors that I want to use, the colors in the yarn that I want to use for the 3-color cashmere cowl that will not have any cashmere in it for me. Go figure. And I can't decide which of these 2 colors I want to use for my big color block in the middle. So we'll think about that. But yeah, that's a little better on the colors. My Isager, help me with the pronunciation, please. Yarn. So, and that is the 3-color cashmere cowl by Hoki Locatelli, which I've seen so many. I mean, it's old news at this point. I get it. I'm late to the party, but I'm making one, and I'm so excited about it. And that's really about it. I don't know. I have my, I don't know. There's a few other little sections that I've thought about putting in here. But I don't know. I'm going to do it. So, along with being a total knitter, yarny, love it, I've recently become obsessed with more natural holistic health and essential oils. And so I have my diffuser running all the time. So I wanted to throw in a little segment, just short, not anything major, crazy, anything like that. Just a little blip on what's in my diffuser. And today I'm simple and I'm using doTERRA Motivate, and this is the encouraging blend. Peppermint, clementine, coriander, basil, yuzu, melissa, rosemary, vanilla. And it smells so good. And it does, like I said, this is so good. My second time filming this. And I threw it in my diffuser as soon as I decided I was going to start filming. And it just kind of pushed me through, got everything set up, going, whatnot. And then knowing that it didn't work right and I had to do it again, I threw it right back in my diffuser when I got home. And it just kind of pushed me to get it done. And here we are. So that's what's in my diffuser. And that's about it. That's kind of the wrap up of my first episode. It's not anything horribly exciting. I'm hoping that I get a little more comfortable and a little better with the setup, with maybe have an awesome digital camera that does film video, but it doesn't have one of the screens that flip out, so I can't see it, and I don't think it will autofocus on anything I bring up close to it. So that's a little frustrating. But I wanted to use something other than my computer, which is what I'm using right now. And I don't want to use my phone either. So, I don't know. It may just have to be my computer for a while. But yeah, so that's it, I guess. The Knitted Cupcake podcast, and I will, for kicks and giggles, start a group on Ravelry. I'm not expecting a lot from it. If anything, this is just for me to feel like I am giving back to a community that I find a lot of encouragement and inspiration from. So, yeah, thanks guys.